Imagine setting out on the adventure of a lifetime with 8 of your closest friends. You are young, experienced, and confident. Your destination lies deep within one of the coldest mountain ranges on Earth. You expect breathtaking views, a difficult climb, and stories you will tell for the rest of your lives. Instead, weeks later, rescuers discover your abandoned tent. It has been cut open from the inside. Footprints lead away into the frozen darkness. The hikers are barefoot. Some are wearing only socks, others have no coats, and every step into the snow leads investigators toward one of the greatest mysteries in modern history. What happened on that mountain? More than 65 years later, the answer is still debated. January 1959, the Soviet Union was in the middle of the Cold War. Across the country, mountaineering had become more than a hobby. It was a test of endurance, skill, and determination. Among those preparing for an ambitious winter expedition was Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute. According to university records and expedition documents, Dyatlov assembled a team of experienced hikers. Every member had completed demanding expeditions before. Many held advanced hiking qualifications. They understood avalanches, winter survival, navigation, and extreme cold. This was not an inexperienced group. The team included Zinaida Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin, Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolevatov, Yuri Doroshenko, Georgy Krivonischenko, Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, Semyon Zolotaryov, and Igor Dyatlov himself. One additional member, Yuri Yudin, began the expedition but turned back because of illness before the group reached the most dangerous section of the route. That decision would ultimately save his life. Years later, Yudin became one of the last living witnesses connected to the expedition, carrying the emotional burden of being the only member who returned. The expedition officially began in late January. The hikers traveled by train and truck before reaching the remote northern Urals. Throughout the journey, they documented nearly every stage with cameras. Those photographs would later become some of the most important pieces of evidence in the investigation. They smiled, laughed, played in the snow, shared meals, and built camps. Nothing in the surviving photographs suggested fear. According to their diaries, morale remained high despite worsening weather. Snowfall became heavier. Temperatures dropped well below freezing. Visibility became increasingly difficult. Still, the group continued climbing. Investigators later concluded that on February 1st, 1959, the hikers pitched their tent on the eastern slope of Kholat Syakhl, a mountain whose name in the Mansi language is often translated as Dead Mountain. The team could have descended to nearby tree cover. Instead, they chose to camp on the exposed mountainside. Researchers have debated that decision ever since. Before leaving, Igor Dyatlov told friends that they expected to send a telegram once the expedition was complete. Days passed, no telegram arrived. At first, no one was alarmed. Winter expeditions often encountered delays due to weather. But as more time passed, concern grew among families and fellow students. Eventually, search parties were organized. Volunteers, students, military personnel, and rescue teams scanned the mountains from aircraft. The search area expanded across the snow-covered wilderness. Then on February 26, 1959, searchers made a discovery that would forever change the case. There, half buried in snow, stood the expedition's tent. It was still standing. Most of the hikers' equipment remained inside: their boots, their heavy winter clothing, food, and personal belongings. Everything necessary to survive had been left behind. Then investigators noticed something impossible to ignore. The tent had been cut open from the inside. Why would 9 experienced mountaineers abandon shelter in sub-zero temperatures? What could have frightened them enough to flee into the freezing night with almost none of the equipment they needed to survive? Investigators carefully examined the snow surrounding the tent. Footprints were clearly visible. The tracks appeared to belong to members of the expedition. Even more surprising, many footprints suggested that some hikers had left wearing only socks. Others appeared barefoot. A few may have been wearing a single boot. Police reported there were no confirmed signs of another group's footprints leading away from the campsite. Whatever caused the hikers to leave, the evidence suggested they walked away together, not in panic, not running, but with unusual urgency. The trail stretched toward a forest approximately 1.5 kilometers away. The footprints ended near the edge of a large cedar tree. There, search teams made the first heartbreaking discovery. According to investigators, the bodies of Yuri Doroshenko and Georgy Krivonischenko were found beneath the tree. Nearby were the remains of a small fire. Broken branches high above the ground suggested that someone had climbed the tree. Investigators believed the two men may have attempted to keep warm while others searched for safety or tried to return to the tent. Between the cedar tree and the abandoned tent, searchers discovered the bodies of Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, and Rustem Slobodin. According to investigators, their positions suggested they had been moving back toward the campsite. If that interpretation was correct, the hikers may have realized too late that their only chance of survival was to return to the tent they had abandoned. But the freezing temperatures were relentless. Investigators documented signs consistent with severe exposure to the cold. Yet one question refused to disappear. What had forced them to leave the tent in the first place? That answer remained hidden beneath meters of snow. Winter slowly gave way to spring. As the snow melted, the search resumed. Nearly 2 months after the first discoveries, investigators located the remaining 4 hikers in a nearby ravine beneath several meters of snow. The findings immediately deepened the mystery. According to the official forensic reports, some of the hikers had sustained severe chest and skull injuries. Experts noted that these injuries appeared comparable to those caused by a significant force. At the same time, investigators reported little or no corresponding external soft tissue damage on some of those injuries. Soviet authorities conducted an extensive investigation. In May 1959, the official case was closed. The conclusion stated that the hikers had died as the result of what investigators described as a compelling natural force. The report did not specify exactly what that force was. It did not fully explain why the tent had been cut open, or why experienced mountaineers fled into freezing temperatures without proper clothing. Over the decades, researchers, scientists, and investigators have proposed several explanations. No single theory has answered every question. Regarding the avalanche theory, a study published in 2021 in Communications, Earth and Environment modeled how a delayed slab avalanche could account for some of the severe injuries documented in the case. However, researchers also acknowledged that questions remain about aspects of the hikers' movements. Another documented explanation involves a weather phenomenon known as katabatic winds. Some researchers believe powerful downhill winds may have created dangerous conditions around the campsite, convincing the hikers to abandon it temporarily. For decades, rumors circulated suggesting secret Soviet military testing, but no conclusive evidence has confirmed that military testing directly caused the deaths of the hikers. Speculative claims involving paranormal events or extraterrestrial explanations remain popular on the internet, but there is no verified evidence supporting these claims. Today, the Dyatlov Pass Incident has become one of the world's most studied cold cases. Modern forensic science, computer modeling, meteorology, and historical research have brought investigators closer than ever to understanding the events of February 1959. Yet no explanation has answered every question beyond doubt. 9 experienced hikers entered the Ural Mountains with confidence, maps, food, equipment, knowledge, and years of mountaineering experience. Their abandoned tent, the footprints leading into darkness, and the unanswered questions transformed a tragic expedition into one of history's greatest mysteries. The mountain still keeps some of its secrets,